Welcome back, everybody. We're back here in Frederick. So today we officially gear up for the 19th running of the Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival. Obviously, we've all had a challenging year. We're excited to be back here and bring a sense of normalcy to our lives. And this event is one of those things that hopefully makes everybody feel like life is returning to normal. We all know what a great event this is for the community. It's an economic impact driver. It builds pride and reflects the community spirit here in Frederick. And I'm so excited to be back. Obviously, it's been a tough year for Corrigan sports and everything that we've been trying to accomplish. And hats off to the city services, the mayor, Guy, the whole team there that put this thing back together for us, okay? They say it takes a great team, and we got a great team. I got some of my team here that I want to acknowledge. Mark Clem, give him a wave here, buddy. Frederick's own Mark Clem. Amanda Corrigan's back there running the public relations show. Don Abramson running operations and logistics. I want to thank him. Ryan Corrigan is here as well. It handles our sponsorship and a lot of our operations as well for this event. A couple people that I really need to tip my hat to and acknowledge, and that is, first of all, I want to talk about the men and women in blue here in Frederick. Those guys back there. And Dawn Jansen, in charge of special events, Lieutenant Corbett, Corporal Murphy, and the Chief of Police, Jason Lando. You know, during our meeting a couple weeks ago when we came down, they expressed a lot of concern, and they also expressed the need for some help. And, you know, I know that this year was very tough for you guys in many, many ways, and we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. And I want you to know that Corrigan Sports Enterprises appreciates it. But not only the officers in Frederick here, but in every other city where we do events. And I want you to know that we got your back because you've always had our back. I appreciate it, Don. Our friends from Fire and Rescue, Lenny Stolberg and his team, they're going to be taken to task, of course, because it's going to be a little steamy, as we know. Bob Smith, Scott Gazeys, Mike Stockman, Mike Wimpigler, Sarah Stamper, and their team from the City of Frederick Parks and Rec, City Traffic Engineers Office, Sam DeLawrence, who's been with us forever, Department of Public Works, Zach Kirshner, Keith Brown, our friends at Parking, Linda Klein, and Jack Stush. These are all people in the city services agencies that make this thing go for us. So it's really important that we acknowledge these folks. Our friends from All County Security, Charlie and Tom, good folks from CHS and Flagger Force. Those are the people that make sure that those thousands of runners get into the parking spots at the fairgrounds. And then they're going to go ahead and they're going to assist our Frederick Police Department out there on the course in some of those intersections to help wade through the runners, hold up the cars, and make sure that those all those intersections are well manned. So I want to thank them. And then last but not least, my good friends from Frederick Fairgrounds. Where's my buddy John Baer? John Baer and Michelle are here, who do such a great job for us. Karen Nicholas. I'm going to hold on. The Frederick Fairgrounds is such a great spot for our event to start and finish. Obviously, you have ample parking. You got a great area to conduct the expo and the packet pickup, as well as the little celebration after. So those folks have been great to work with since day one, and hats off to you. We really appreciate you guys. At this time, I would like to introduce Frederick's #1 runner, Mayor Mike O'Connor.
Lee, thank you very much. It is absolutely exciting to be here today and to have an event like the Frederick Running Festival come back to the city of Frederick after the hiatus that the pandemic has created. I don't want to strain the marathon analogy or half marathon analogy too much. If I was actually out running, I'd hit the wall at about 100 yards. but in the pandemic, we didn't have an option. There was no wall that we could hit. We just had to continue to plow through. And it's kept us on our toes. It's required flexibility with organizers like Corrigan Sports and everything that they do. It's been tremendously difficult for organizations like yours and what you do. And we're so grateful that you found a way to continue to power through so that we could be here today and kick off this great weekend in the city of Frederick. We all watched this public health crisis and we didn't know when it was going to end. And that's a really hard thing to plan for. But everybody who worked so hard to get us to where we are today deserves recognition. And I very much appreciate Corrigan Sports and Corrigan Sports' acknowledgement of our Public Works Department, everything that they've done, our police department, and everything that they've done in working together as targets continue to move and how we had to adjust. Imagine trying to run a race like this if the course kept changing throughout the course of the 13 miles. And that's where we've been over the last 17 months. During the pandemic, it was also clear that we really do love showcasing Frederick and have missed the opportunity to put our community out in front of our region and the nation. And so this is an opportunity for us this weekend to once again showcase all of those people who are going to come to town, what a wonderful community Frederick is, and hope that if they're only coming to town this weekend because they're going to run a half marathon, that they'll make plans to come back at some point in the future and spend more time in our beautiful and historic community. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to our Director of Economic Development, Richard Griffin, to share a little bit more about how the Frederick Running Festival, and we appreciate the sponsors, Frederick Foot and Ankle, for making it possible, everything that this race and this weekend means to economic development in the city of Frederick. So once again, Lee, thank you. Thank you, Corrigan Sports, for everything that you do this weekend for the city of Frederick. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Lee. And good morning, everyone. I'm Richard Griffin. I'm Director of Economic Development for the City of Frederick. What a great week and a great location to have a running festival. It's incredible to believe that we're here. During the past year, I can't tell you how many times Lee and I had conversations over the phone where he kept trying to evaluate, could we bring the race back next month? Could we bring the race back next month? So persistence pays, and here we are, as the mayor said, 17 months into this thing. On behalf of our economic development partners, Helen Profiter at the Frederick County Office of Economic Development, Dave Zidelis, who I think you'll hear from in a few moments, Karen Norman with the Downtown Frederick Partnership, Rick Weldon, our Chamber of Commerce, I welcome you all, and I want to say a few words about sports tourism. Sports tourism is really defined as anything that involves people traveling to a location from outside the region to participate in or watch a sport or participate in a sport. And the Frederick Running Festival clearly generates real economic returns and quality of life for the city of Frederick. For example, let me give you a couple. For Frederick residents, the race adds yet another unique recreational opportunity to run, to cheer, to build community pride. The number of 6 a.m. front yard parties increases every year along the race course. Community pride and placemaking increases public interest in buying homes here, investing in businesses in Frederick. And as the community strives to attract diverse talent from around the country, we've learned that place does matter. For others from outside the region, they come, they eat, they drink, they shop, they race, they leave. They spend a lot. We like that. But they serve as long-term great marketing for Frederick. They wear their gear, which I think I saw back there. I'm so excited about that. They wear their gear all over the United States and abroad. They tweet, they post, they share their experiences about Frederick on a multitude of social media platforms about what great markets Frederick is to visit, live, work, play, and invest. How many of us routinely see people on social media or whatever wearing their T-shirts and sharing their experiences about sporting events here in Frederick. And then there's the dollars and cents. The event generates real economic impact. Corrigan Sports has periodically done economic impact studies through Towson University's Regional Economic Studies Institute. And at the time of the last study, it showed that the Frederick Running Festival generates over $3.5 million worth of direct and indirect economic development in our community. And Corrigan Sports has donated over $500,000 to local Frederick nonprofits, and I think is poised to donate more today. So how about a big hand for Visit Frederick? You're going to hear from Dave. For all the hotels, retailers, eateries, watering holes around Frederick, which are geared up to support the race. Now I know you all are thinking right now that if I ran as much as I talk, that I would be in great shape. And I'm not a great runner, but I do love the carbo loading. So let's have a great race. Let's be safe. Let's remember that runners, I've said this year after year, runners are more likely to survive a zombie apocalypse, and they get cheaper health insurance. So on that, I'm going to turn the podium back over to Lee.
Couple things I want to hit on that Richard mentioned. Number one, this is our grassroots marketing tool. Obviously, it's a very handsome quarter zip, and runners that participate this weekend will be excited to wear this all over the country, wherever they go. And this is a great, great tool for the city of Frederick. And I think at this time, I think it's appropriate to introduce Mr. Dave Zidalis, the Executive Director of Visit Frederick.
Good morning, everyone. I recently took the reins of Visit Frederick from the legendary and great John Fiesler. But in my former life in running the Frederick Keys organization, we actually used to host this event back in its infant stages and actually used to partner with Corrigan Sports. So certainly myself, I know how valuable this event is. Now, back in those days, I actually had more hair, and Lee's hair was darker back then. But as a longstanding board member, officer, as well as now executive director of Visit Frederick, we know how valuable this event is. As Richard explained, it is an economic driver. It drives our tourism. The majority of the participants come from outside of Frederick County and in fact around the country itself. So on behalf of Visit Frederick, we're very excited to host this event and support it in any way possible. So thank you so much.
I'm going to do a little bragging on Corrigan Sports and the Frederick Running Festival here. We are super fortunate at Corrigan Sports to be able to put on such a high-class event. And the number one reason we're able to do that every year is our friends from Frederick Foot and Ankle. And hats off to that whole team over there, because you guys come through. They give us a lot of financial support, which is where these babies come from. And where these babies come from. And these are some of the tools that keep our event on the minds and on the lips of runners all throughout the region and all throughout the country. 31 different states are represented. So it's really, really important. Want to thank our friends at Frederick Foot and Ankle, Kevin Wu, Damon, Dr. Brenna Steinberg. She's not here today, but today we are joined by one of the partners there, a presenting sponsor, Dr. Isaac Nikoi, partner at Frederick Foot and Ankle. Say a few words.
Good morning. Again, my name is Dr. Isaac Nikoi, and I am with Frederick Foot and Ankle. Thank you again, Mr. Corrigan, for giving us the pleasure to be the title sponsor. We certainly look forward to this year after year. And speaking of year after year, to say that this year has been a great year or even a good year, somewhat of an inaccurate statement. But it has been a learning year. And we have all learned and continue to learn. And in doing so, we've learned to improvise. And from businesses shifting and pivoting their business models to stay afloat, to parents becoming overnight educators, kind of giving us a greater appreciation of what it is that our teachers do. So amen and amen to that. Our children actually have done well in more or less becoming improvisational in adapting to virtual learning. And it's very challenging. Speaking as a parent, it's difficult. So again, I thank all of our teachers. Now, with that being said, we did it. Each and every one here, and all of those of you watching, we did it. We were able to overcome, and we will continue to be able to overcome. So, overcoming these challenges kind of allows us to take a step back and be grateful. So I would be remiss if I did not thank my colleagues, as well as our front line and our first line responders, for just serving so boldly and bravely. So we thank you for that. That deserves a round of applause, I agree. So being able to serve the DMV area for all of its foot and ankle concerns is something that we hold near and dear to our hearts at Frederick Foot and Ankle. Many of you may never have foot and ankle issue, but in case you do, we treat everything from ingrown toenails to ankle fractures. And as the months continue to go on and the sun continues to beat down on us and we swelter, we look forward to serving our communities as well as encouraging new athletes. And we continue to strive to help our patients live their healthiest and most active lifestyles. To the city of Frederick, continue improvising, continue adapting, and continue overcoming. We look forward to seeing you at the Frederick Running Festival, and our mantra at Frederick Foot and Ankle is we keep you moving. Thank you.
All right, this time I'm going to give you a quick weekend overview. The event kicks off Friday, actually, this year. A packet pickup and our Health and Fitness Expo will be at the Frederick Fairgrounds 3 to 7, where you can see the doctor, the good doctor and his folks. So stop on by the expo and visit with us. Saturday, all day at Frederick Fairgrounds. Of course, our packet pickup and Health and Fitness Expo will continue. Then we got some fun and games on Saturday at 4 o'clock. We have the Kids Fun Run, which if you haven't seen it, you ought to check it out. It's a lot of fun. The kids, it looks like a jailbreak. They're running down the track. It's a sight to behold. So we have 2 heats of kids running down the finish stretch to the cheers of thousands. Then at 5 o'clock, we have the Twilight 5K. 1,100 or so will take off and run towards the airport and then back. And of course, they'll come back to the village and enjoy a cold Harpoon beer and visit with everybody in the Visit Frederick Celebration Village. Thanks to your support, Dave. Sunday, the 11th, the half marathon occurs. Really important note here. We are getting started a little bit earlier this year, about 6:30 a.m. in an effort to beat the heat, which we need some air conditioning up here. But nevertheless, we got 2,100 half marathoners and 90 people in our 2-person relay. They'll take off from Patrick Street right there in front of the Frederick Fairgrounds. They'll head down to Key Stadium through beautiful downtown Market Street, the heart of Frederick, along Baker Park, into Hood College, up past Thomas Johnson High School, down beautiful Schifferstadt, Monocacy, back to the Frederick Fairgrounds, in front of the grandstand. It's a great course, and it really highlights the whole city. You get a little everything with this course, and it's a fantastic course. I enjoy driving it. I'll be driving the lead vehicle, which is always a lot of fun. One of the unique aspects of the event is the Nut Job Challenge. Over 400 people have taken the challenge this year. 400 people will be running Saturday evening in the 5K. Then they turn around Sunday morning and lace them back up and participate in the half marathon. Also, we have 140 BFD challenges. I know what you're thinking, BFD. That is a big freaking deal. Baltimore, Frederick, Delaware, they run all those events, and they'll be joining us as well. Special thanks goes to our medical partners who will be taking the task. This year we have a unique situation, obviously with the heat. So we heavied up our medical partners, and we have heavied up our presence out there in the course. We have our friends from Ski Liberty, Whitetail, Wisp, and of course our old friends from Frederick Health, providing medical support along the course. 4 of those stations will have medical aids. 1 large finish line medical headquarters. Special thanks goes out to Jason Nightingale from Ski Liberty, Jared Krzyzewski from Whitetail, Wendy Thompson from Ski Wisp, and our old friend Dottie Corbett from Frederick Memorial. They're going to be taking the task proudly. We're going to have the ice baths ready, Doc. Also like to thank our volunteers. 500 volunteers overall, headed up by our friend Mark Clem there, Frederick's own first son. And that effort is also paramount to our success. And one of the things that you'd think might be tough during these times of COVID, and that is getting volunteers to come back and contribute and participate. Not here in Frederick. Everybody wanted to jump on board. Mark told me about a group that wanted to bring 23 people to help us on one of the tasks, and we only need 10. So obviously he repurposed those folks, but nevertheless, that's the kind of participation you're getting out of the Frederick community, and we thank you for that. A couple people are on site here that I want to acknowledge. Tusco swim team, coaches Matt and Lori, our friend Shayna from Fleet Feet, bike doctor lead. He'll be managing the bikes that lead the races and also stay with the men's leader, the women's leader, and they communicate with the finish line so our announcer can talk about who's winning the race. Amanda, of course, manages that for us. Frederick Rescue Mission, our old friend Arnold Farlow and Carlton, you guys are number 1, man. Thank you for everything that you've always done for us. We really appreciate your help. Girls on the Run, Lee Perry's here. Where's Lee? There she is. Thank you so much. Course Marshals is headed up by our friend Mark Lawrence, another great Frederick guy. Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Jason May, Frederick Keys. We had a great promotion last night. Macy Hill won the drawing. She's one of our runners. She threw out the first pitch. I understand it was like a 90-mile-an-hour breaking curveball, Dave, right into the pitcher's mitt, which is awesome. Our key volunteer leaders, I have to acknowledge them. They've been with us since day one, and they've helped keep this whole thing together and helped our presence in Frederick be awesome. And that is Lori Farrell and Ann McDonald. This time I want to introduce my friend Arnold Farlow to say a few words. He's such a key part of what we do every year.
Running is about endurance, and I cannot think of a greater act of endurance than what Corbin Sports has been through the past year. I called Lee a few times during the COVID pandemic to see how he's doing, and it's quite rough. So I just think them being here, them doing this event, it's just a tremendous testimony to their endurance, and they should inspire the runners for their endurance as well. One thing that the mission and Corbin Sports have been working together for at least 13 years. The mission serves those who are homeless, those who are fighting hunger, and those who are fighting addiction. And our men in the Change Life Recovery Program for 13 years have helped out, provide the SAG wagon, set up, break down, the whole work. So it's just a great example of how nonprofits and businesses can work together. So thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you, Arnold. Really important. Arnold and Carlton, your crew, is actually putting years back on our lives, because if y'all didn't show up to help set up and tear down, we'd be moving a little slower today. So thank you very much for your help over the years. This time I'd like to open it up to the media. Anybody else who may have some questions, happy to answer anything.
Ryan Hedrick, WFM. You want to know where the revenue generated from this event, how will it be distributed throughout the community? Can you talk about the recovery efforts?
Yeah. Well, this year's a little bit unique. Usually at this time we give out checks right here on the spot, but obviously we this year our runners are down from between 6 and 7 to probably about 4. So all these organizations that I mentioned that are helping along the course will be receiving checks, as well as our friends from Arnold's organization, the Frederick Rescue Mission, as well. So we're very proud to, we've donated over $500,000 over the course of this event, and this year we'll be adding to that total. Right now, that remains to be seen exactly.
With metrics changing and vaccinations, inconsistent throughout the community, how close was this not to happening? Was this always going to be run, or?
It was close. I had a little tent out back, and I was stalking the mayor. No, that's not true. You know what, the mayor hit it, and that was that we had several conversations over the course of the year, and we were doing everything we could to get this back online. And there was a big discussion around should we have it in May, but we felt like that was too early, and we wanted to wait till the vaccinations totals obviously crept up and closer and made it a more safe environment for the community.
For people listening and watching that don't live in Frederick, what do you want them to know about the city's resilience?
Sure.
How hard you fought to put this event on?
Sure.
Where we're at with our recovery right now from the pandemic.
Yep. Well, it's a team effort, okay? And every year we work really, really well with Frederick. Frederick Running Festival has always been one of our very best events, and we do events all over the country. And you know why? Because the community really embraces it. Everybody from the mayor to the police department to Public Works to our venue, our friends at the Frederick Fairgrounds, and all the various volunteer groups that come out every single year. And all I can say is I think that everybody, all those organizations, even though some of those organizations have been a little taxed over the year, but they're excited for a return to normalcy. And I think this is a real symbol of returning to normalcy. So, we're looking forward to a great day, Saturday and Sunday. Anybody else? All right. Well, we ask everybody to join Ryan. Give him a wave back there. Ryan's got one of these for everybody, and we'll make sure that everybody gets geared up. And we appreciate everybody coming today. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you.